Shalom, and welcome to Bible Stories as Blueprints of the Soul, your Biblical Hebrew podcast. Shalom and welcome to our Biblical Hebrew podcast. Today I would like to share with you a problem which rises from Genesis 1 verses 11 and 12. Genesis 1 verses 11 and 12 speaks about the creation of grass and trees. When we read those verses, we think about trees. Lemon tree, orange tree, apple tree. But those verses are basically an allegory. Of what? Verses 11 and 12 are basically dealing with the creation that happened in the third day. When the one day of creation deals or reflects the letter Yod of the Tetragrammaton, the Yom Echad. The second day of creation deals with the second letter of the Tetragrammaton, which is the first He. The third day of creation deals with the third letter of the Tetragrammaton, which is Vav. And here we arrive at the point of which we wanted to speak about. So, in general, verses 11 and 12 are dealing with the creation of the third day and with the letter Vav. Now, when we read the verses in Hebrew or in English, we see that God said, "Let the earth put forth grass, herb-yielding seed, and fruit tree." In Hebrew, etz pri, bear fruit after its kind, oseh pri lemino. So God asked in Hebrew, etz pri, the fruit and the tree are equal, will be the same. Etz, so to speak, tree is the potential or the intention, and fruit, pri, is the outcome. Those words are basically a parable because the speech here is about human. Like in another place in the Bible, we find the verse that human is like a tree of the field. Ki ha'adam etz hasadeh. There is a verse in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 20, verse 19. We find this verse, Ki ha'adam etz hasadeh. Human is a tree. So, when we read verses 11 and 12, we see, first of all, it's not a lemon tree, orange tree, or apple tree. This is a parable which speaks of human condition. Now, God asked, etz pri, fruit tree. The word etz, tree, is written in two letters, Ayin and Tzadi Sufit. Ayin has the numeral value of 70, Tzadi has the numeral value of 90. Together they make 160. Now, the word fruit in Hebrew, pri, is written with 3 letters, P, Resh, Yod. The volume of the letter P is 80. The volume of the letter Resh is 200. Together they make 280. And the volume of the letter Yod is 10. So altogether the word Pri, which is fruit in English, is 290. Now, 290, which is the volume of fruit, Pri in Hebrew, plus the word Etz, tree in English, which is 160, gives us the volume of 450. Again, the term in Hebrew, Etz, Pri, in English, fruit, tree, has the numeral value of 450. Now, the volume of the word Adam, human in Hebrew, is 45. Aleph is 1, Daled is 4, Mem Sofit is 40. 1 plus 4 is 5, plus 40 is 45. Now, Etz Pri, fruit tree, has the numeral value of 450. 10 times Adam, or Adam, human, in its 10 spheres. So we see again how the term Etz Pri is a parable or an allegory which refers to the human spirit. So God asked to create a human spirit, that the fruit, the deeds of a person will be like his thoughts. That the tree, the thought, the origin, the intention will be equal to the deed. Everything will be like God speaks. God speaks good and something good comes out. This is the intention, Etz Pri. But in verse 12, we see a distortion. In verse 12, we see something else. And the earth brought forth, ותוצא הארץ, דשא עשב, מזריע זרע, למיניהו, and the earth brought forth grass, herb yielding seed after its kind, and the Hebrew, ועץ, and a tree, עושה פרי, and a tree that makes fruit. Here we see a gap. God asked Etz Pri, fruit tree, that the intention or the thought and the deed will be the same. 450, 10 times the human spirit. But something else came out. ותוצא הארץ, and the earth brought forth something else. עץ עושה פרי, tree that makes fruit. What is the problem here? We don't have any more two words, עץ פרי. Fruit tree, intention and the action are the same. We have a wave. We have a curve. עושה פרי, makes fruit, bears fruit. Not just two words, עץ פרי, fruit tree, but a tree that makes fruit, or in English bears fruit. The word עושה in Hebrew, makes, is written in 3 letters, Ayin, Shin, He. If we change the location of the letters in the word, and we start with Shin, Ayin, He, Shin, Ayin, He, we get the word Sha'ah. Sha'ah in Hebrew is hour in English, like 60 minutes. A word that declares time. So here in verse 12 we have another element that does not appear in verse 11. The divine speech is that what is in the thought, in the potential, is in the intention, comes as a fruit, as an outcome, and it's the same. The speech is the doing. It's the same. There aren't any curves. There aren't any waves. Everything is straight. Everything is honest. But in verse 12, this is also verse 12. 12 also is the highest number in the clock. Time, 12. We meet in a way another creation. Tree bears fruit. And we said that the word oseh, makes or bear, in different writing, when we start with shin, shin ayin hey, sha'a. We have here time. And time, in a way, gives us a curve. It's not straight anymore. If I can make a little example from a story, there is a beautiful story of Grimm brothers about Little Red Riding Hood. There is a good kid, good child, that her mother asks her to go to the end of the forest and to bring to her sick grandmother a little basket with goods and bakeries and sweets to make her day lovely. And Little Red Riding Hood mothers is warning her, go straight to the house of the granny. Don't turn left and right, just go straight, but the way is long. And Little Red Riding Hood is looking around and sees beautiful flowers and butterflies and left and right, and started making curves in the wood until she's noticed by the wolf, because it takes her a lot of time. She's bored and she finds interest in things that are happening left and right. And suddenly the wolf is coming, a danger comes. Time, in a way, is a distorted mirror. And here, this is what we see in verses 11 and 12. Because in the first part of the conversation, we were saying that 11 and 12, verses 11 and 12 are dealing with the third letter of the tetragrammaton with the letter Vav. In verse 11, we meet the upper Vav, the tree of life, Etzpri, 450, 10 times Adam, 10 times the tetragrammaton with the filling of the letter Aleph. This is the upper Vav, the tree of life. But in verse 12, we meet the lower Vav, the separating Vav. Ve'etz oseh pri, and a tree bears fruit. Because when we write the letter Vav in a simple manner, we write only thin line. But when we write the Vav when it's filling, we write two lines, Vav, thin line and thin line. So verse 11 speaks about the natural Vav, the tree of life, the connecting Vav. And verse 12 deals with the second Vav, the distorted Vav, the Vav that mirrors time. And in times we have, so to speak, black holes. Now we shall not go into physics, because this is a very interesting discussion, what is time. But let's stick with the sages. The sages say that the first Vav, the upper Vav, the tree of life, is illuminating mirror. Illuminating mirror. And the second Vav the disconnecting vav, like we see later in chapter 2, Ve'etz hada'at tov vara, and the tree of knowledge, bad and good, the disconnecting vav. The sages distinguish between the vavs. The upper vav, so to speak, the tree of life, is illuminating mirror, and the second vav, the disconnecting vav, the separating vav, is a mirror which does not illuminate. So when things are not illuminating to us, this is the thing of time. Let's say in April here, in the land, we see a bud of a pomegranate. The first bud, little red dot. But 6 months later, in September, we see the full fruit of the pomegranate. So there is a way 6 months that it takes to the bud of the pomegranate to develop to a fruit, to a complete fruit. And here we see in a way the reflection of verse 12, Ose pri, bears fruit, like a woman which is conceived. It takes her 9 months or 40 weeks, it depends on how we count, until the baby is ready to go and live a life of its own outside of the womb. It takes time. The bearing is time. So, just to summarize this huge topic that we try to approach, verses 11 and 12 in the book of Genesis are speaking about the letter Vav of the Tetragrammaton. But the letter Vav in a way has a dual or double aspect. The first Vav, the upper Vav, is a tree of life. In the tree of life we don't have a sense of time. Everything is green, is evergreen there. The thought is the doing. There is no gap of time. Like people think, let's say when they are 12, they think, one day when I'm 18 I'll go to university. There is like 6 years between 12 and 18 until they will go to university. There is a time need to pass until they will be 18. This is on earth. When there's a gravity, Eretz, planet Earth, there's a gravity, and we have to wait 6 years until a child, which is 12, will go to university at the age of 18. But in the tree of life, the thought is already the fruit. The intention is already the good deed. And those beautiful verses, which I hope that we got a little spark, will escort us in our next conversations. Wishing you a beautiful day and wonderful week.
Thank you for listening to Bible Stories as Blueprints of the Soul. We hope that you enjoyed this episode. If you have any questions, comments, or would like to hear more about a certain topic, just write us an email to hebrew@learnoutlive.com. We are always happy to hear from you. For more episodes, videos, and articles like this, please visit our website at hebrew.learnoutlive.com. We also would like to invite you to join our live classes. Just search for Online College of Biblical Hebrew on Facebook and start learning now with students from all over the world. Koltuv and Shalom.